Well, I just thought I'd make y'all a quick little video. This is my first ever intentional swarm trapping. The only reason I specify intentional is because if you saw my video from last summer, I actually did have a swarm move into a vacant colony in my yard. Excuse me. Spring's here and I got allergies. How lovely. Anyway, I just wanted to show this to you guys how I was doing it. Kind of took this from an idea that I saw Ralph Jones do on Facebook. But he had chain, he had eye bolts stuck in his box. I basically replicated the same theory, only I just screwed a board across the front of the box, drilled a hole in either end, and stuck a hook in. Now the only reason I used a ratchet strap is because that's what I had. I don't have any short pieces of chain or rope that I trusted. The ratchet strap did kind of come in handy because I was able to put it on there relatively loose at the base of the tree, and slid it up the tree a little bit, and then ratcheted it down a little bit tighter. Took a little bit of slack out. I don't really know if that made a difference or not. But basically, just hanging it up here on the side of the tree. The one thing I wanted to point out is that I mounted it with the entrance facing away from the tree. A lot of times what you see is people with the entrance facing, kind of beside the tree, so the box would be turned 90 degrees. The reason I did this is because I was doing some experimenting last night, and I found that a lot of times your box is not going to hang perfectly level, especially not with this sort of fashion, because you're relying on the tension in the strap and a fulcrum point of where your box touches your tree to put it in the bind like it is, so that it just hangs here so nicely. If you were to yank down the bottom of the box right here, the whole thing would fall, and that's actually a concern of mine because it's fell about 15 times with me trying to put it up here right now. So I definitely need to come up with a way or a couple of solutions on how to keep it from falling. I really don't know if this is the best mounting system, but it's the best I got right now. Anyway, back on point, what I was getting at was that because of how this is mounted, this box has a tendency to want to slope down on the front just a little bit. And actually, the more I tension this strap and pick the front up, the more likely it is to want to fall. So it's actually good to let it slope a little bit on purpose. But what that results in doing is that if this box were turned 90 degrees, all my frames in there would be hanging like this. Basically, if the box was sloping out, the frames would be hanging crooked, which means if the bees drew natural comb, because I do have foundationless frames in there, the bees drew natural comb, the comb would then be sticking out of the frame like this when I set it down and the frames went vertical. Y'all can kind of visualize how that works. So by hanging it this way, all the frames are running front to back, so even if the bees pull a little bit on a little bit of a slope because they're pulling it level to them and they don't realize the box is sloping, it's going to be okay because that comb will still be contained in that frame. Worst case scenario, they might finish out the bottom end of the comb before they finish out the top end, just because of, or I guess they'd finish out that end before this end, as they drew it down all the way and hit the bottom of the frame. So that's okay. That's not an issue at all. But comb pulled out of the frame is a big problem as far as having to square it up and fix it. So just kind of wanted to point out why I'm hanging it the way I am. I do think I'm going to have to come up with a better mounting system, just because I really don't trust this one. The fact that it fell so many times as I was trying to put it up here makes me a bit nervous. I'd really hate for this thing to fall once a colony moves into it, or to just fall in general, and then I got to come out here and pick it back up. Because I'm probably not going to check these every night. I'm going to check these like once a week. Once swarm season really hits hard, maybe twice a week, but ideally not have to check them every single day. And even once the swarm does move in, you want to get that swarm, a week or two at least in that location before you just take them down and move them. So, yeah, anyway, long story short, hung my first swarm trap, and let's hope it works. I went ahead and got full 10 frames in there, some with foundation, some without. I put in a cotton ball queen lure, which to me just smells like rubbing alcohol. And I put in a few drops of lemongrass oil, so when I open the box, it does smell a little bit like lemongrass. I don't smell the alcohol, so that's a good thing. I don't think the bees like the alcohol, but they do like the lemongrass. So let's hope for the best. I need this to be a good year of swarm season. I need to catch a lot of swarms.